There's a reason why they're not growing. There is a reason for that. It's because they are disgusting, vile individuals that are using these parents for profit. They call me a tragedy pimp, but when do you see me pimping parents on my channel? When do you see me pimping victims' families on my channel? When do you see me pimping suspects on my channel?
You know it's hard out here for a pimp.
I was just on Justice for All's channel. Many of you guys were already over there. So, you know, what am I'm absolutely frustrated and a little bit perturbed, okay? Because the people that are saying that this poor lady, Brandi Neal, found out by Bullhorn Betty that her son was dead. No, she didn't. She found this out by her friends that said they cared about her and her well-being, but decided to trot her up like a show pony on their channel to get the raw emotions of a woman that is learning that her son is potentially dead.
Wrong again, butthole Betty. She found out because her friends assumed it was false information being spread. Again by you. Brandi was on her panel to make sure that the correct information was being put onto this platform. That is because people like you are constantly giving fake news. Brandi was there on panel because she wanted to be. Brandi is only on YouTube to help prevent the spread of misinformation by people like you.
But decided to trot her up like a show pony on their channel to get the raw emotions of a woman that is learning that her son is potentially dead. And these are the people that say they care about this woman. These are the people that say they don't want any harm to come. Then why would you do that on your live? Why? I do not have Brandi's number. I don't call Brandi or speak to her regularly. I covered her son's case. I spoke with her directly. I went out there and helped. That's what I did. This whole idea that she did not learn this from me. She learned this from her so-called friends. Again, live on their channel. Because
She 100% learned it from you, Betty. You put it out there. Brandi got it wasn't real because she hadn't been told yet. The local police were trying to protect her, right or wrong. Yo, butthole Betty took this mother's hope away.
Idea that she did not learn this from me. She learned this from her so-called friends. Again, live on their channel. Because all she is to them is a click and a view. I had no idea that law enforcement has not told her about these charges. That's not my fault. People are saying, well, I knew, but I had integrity and didn't want to. No, you didn't. You didn't know. And I can tell you, if you knew, you would have picked up the phone and called her to ask her about it instead of doing it on live. You chose not to do that. You chose to destroy this lady on your live in front of your audience and then lie to her about how this information came about. Because you hate Bullhorn Betty so much that you would rather destroy a woman that has a child missing to try to destroy me. Well, I'm not going anywhere. The only thing you did was destroy a woman you say you care so much about on your live. That's all you did.
No, Betty. You destroyed this woman. You destroyed her hope. Why didn't you call and tell her or ask her to see? You said yesterday you have her number. I know why. Because you are selfish and care about your clickbait and your views. Did you share Michael's picture yesterday? I sure didn't see it. That's all she asked. Is if you're going to cover his case that you show his picture. You couldn't manage that yesterday. Shake my head.
That's all you did. If you think that this is going to be biting Bullhorn Betty in the ass, it's not, because everybody saw I did everything above board, legit, and not underhanded, and followed Brandi's explicit instructions to me. Explicit instructions. Quit peddling misinformation and only communicate what you learned. And that's exactly what I did. If they failed to tell this woman, Brandi Neal, or her family, that a woman had been charged in connection with her son, this lady was about to go to court for failing to report her son's death. Who would keep that from her, knowing it was going to be breaking on the news and breaking on YouTube? What kind of idiot made that decision for her and for her family? That is not Bullhorn Betty's fault. For all the despicable people that chose to run with the story without doing your due diligence, screw you. You are part of the problem, not Bullhorn Betty. What you did to that woman yesterday was despicable. And I'm talking to you, Purple. It was despicable. And don't you dare try to convince the rest of YouTube that you give a damn about this lady, because if you did, how you did what you did, you would have never done. You would have never, ever, ever did that on a live if you gave a damn.
Again, Purple was doing exactly what Brandi asked of her, trying to put out facts and let people know what is false. We all thought it must not be true since she didn't know. Purple did nothing wrong. You, but Whole Betty, are the only one who put this out without checking if Brandi knew first. Since you say you are so close with her and are doing everything exactly how she asked you to, why didn't you check with her? Purple has been there from day 1. She stayed with her even when you ditched her to go running to another case, Quentin Simon. We all know Betty runs to the cases that bring her the most views. She cares not one bit about Brandi or any other victims.
So don't you dare put Bullhorn Betty in your fucking mouth again. And if anybody has a problem with the way I'm talking, too bad. Too bad. Too bad. I don't usually cuss on here. Over the last month, I've said a lot of horrible language, and that I'll have to deal with at a later date. But I will be damned. How sick can you be to do that to that woman? How sick? Don't sit here and say because I got some public record from the police department that I'm at fault here. No, I'm not. One, the police department should have told that lady about her son. Period.
I agree they should have told her about her son. But I also think that what you did, Betty, was despicable. Why didn't you check with Brandi before putting anything out like Purple does? Oh right. Because you don't care about her or any other victims. You care about your money and your channel growth. Get the F out of here with your blame shifting to Purple. One of the only people that didn't ditch Brandi for even one day. Why don't you just apologize, Betty? Apologize for the sick way you went about this.
Never allowed her to learn from it from the news because, as we know, the news dropped while I was live. So either way, she would have found out on the news or on YouTube, whether or not it had anything to do with me. But I guarantee if it was Purple that broke it, everybody would be okay with it, right? Exactly. Exactly. My point.
When you learned about the news, Betty, why didn't you mute and call Brandi? Or you could have waited like everyone else did and given Brandi some time. Oh, I know why, because you don't care. Purple never would have broken that news on her channel without speaking to Brandi first. You know that, Betty, come on. It just wouldn't have happened, and if it did, Brandi would have known first. Betty, you are a disgrace. I hope you stay far away from any victims in the future. You don't help victims, you make victims.
Exactly. My point exactly. Because when we watched their live, they didn't seem to know jack shit about this news. And neither did Brandi, and that is unfortunate. But I run my cases the exact same way from case to case, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Law enforcement owes Brandi a huge apology. Purple, how dare you? And Brandi, law enforcement owes Brandi a huge apology. Purple owes that woman even a bigger apology. How dare you? How dare you? And Brandi, these people are using you. Stay off the internet, please. Do something to help whatever you're going through. You do not need YouTube during this time. If I can give you any loving help, I'm sorry that they did what they did to you, and I'm sorry that law enforcement released that information to the public, but I had nothing to do with that. And you know darn well do not have your number, nor any way to contact you. I have a source. Everybody was asking that leave the family alone. I'm not trying to, rock the boat, especially this kind of news. I would have never called Brandi and asked her to confirm this kind of news with me because she's a grieving mom. Who does that? Who calls a mother to confirm whether her son is dead or not? Who flippin' does that crap?
Someone who cares about Brandi would. Honestly, nobody on that panel believed it was real. We are so used to your lies, AKD fake news, Betty. Purple is about the only one not using Brandi. But you are using Brandi and Michael every day now for clicks and views. You ditched Michael and Brandi in Idaho for the bigger, better case, and now you're back on it like a fly on shit, all because you want the money. Brandi wants to stop the spread of misinformation about her son on YouTube, which is why she was on there. Why don't we ask ourselves, why do you need to be so greedy that you need to be the first one to break this news? Ask yourself, Betty. Is it because you care about victims? Or is it because you care about money and views?
Today, Brandi is finding out some of the worst news in her life. She is angry at a lot of people that came out and spoke out against her, put her family through hell, put the people that were helping her through hell. And at the end of the day, you know, she has a right to be angry at anybody. If she wanted to be angry at Bullhorn Betty, I would understand. Because, you know, this is just landed in her lap. You know, she went to work one day on a normal day, thinking she was going to come home to a chaotic mess that only a family can provide, the happy, chaotic mess that a family can provide, right? And she gets called and finds out her son is missing, and her whole entire world comes to an end. I'm not in Idaho. I'm in Florida right now. And not only that, but I can guarantee you, Brandi is not talking about us. We have not done anything but help that family. So if other YouTubers are reaching out, only that. But I can guarantee you, Brandi is not talking about us. We have not done anything but help that family. So this idea that that Brandi, I have connections to her if need be. You know, I'm not using those connections by any stretch of the imagination to talk to her, to get to her. I feel for her. My heart bleeds for this lady. Right. And so if she wants to be mad at a few YouTubers, she has every right to be. Do I take what she's saying personally? Absolutely not, because I know she's not talking to me. Because at the job, but every case has its own little problem. This is this case's problem. But this was a huge problem. Like, how the heck do you arrest somebody in connection with somebody else's child and not even inform them? Knowing that that person is getting their yard dug up, knowing that person is about to be meeting a judge, and knowing that that is going to be plastered all over the news because it's the biggest story in Fruitland, Idaho history. That is not, again, the problem of this show. Shame on her so-called friends that made her a show pony yesterday.
Again, Betty. Brandi was on that channel for the purpose of helping to spread information about her son's case that was factual and not rumor and false information. Get your facts right for once, lady. Brandi was there because she wanted to be there. On the one channel that has kept Monkey's face out there this entire time. Not just when the money is good like what you do. Correction from earlier. You did have his picture up, but you were blocking it with your own head the entire time. Slow clap for Betty.
Helping the family. But no, I mean, YouTube's cutthroat, right? If they don't like you, you're not allowed to help the family unless it's according to their terms. I'm sorry, I don't listen to these crackpots on YouTube. There's a reason why their channels are so small. There's a reason why they're not growing. There is a reason for that. It's because they are disgusting, vile individuals that are using these parents for profit. They call me a tragedy pimp, but when do you see me pimping parents on my channel? When do you see me pimping victims' families on my channel? When do you see me pimping suspects on my channel?
Are you serious, Betty? Laughing my ass off. You do it daily. Maybe you don't know what the definition of tragedy pimp is. I will remind you. What is a tragedy pimp? a producer of content that focuses on and targets tragedies such as murders, suicides, stillborn death, robberies, riots, shootings, and fires that have befallen certain people or celebrities for the intent of gaining clout, sympathy, or profit. These types of people tend to congregate on YouTube, Twitter, and other social media platforms. Example: that true crime woman only seems to create content to elicit sympathy donations from people. She's a tragedy pimp. August 16, 2021. Urban Dictionary.
No, they're doing that. They're doing that very thing and saying, hey, don't look over here, look over there. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I sent the contact I have for Brandi's family, and I gave them the biggest apology that I could possibly give them. Why? Did I have to do that? No, I did nothing wrong. But the idea that somebody would use something of mine to injure another person and then turn around and say that they were their friend, there is no way in hell I'm going to sit up here and allow that to happen without having my voice be heard on this subject.
I am glad to hear you did apologize, Betty. Even though you seem to have a huge but afterwards. Earlier you said you didn't have anything to apologize for and you did nothing wrong, so it's a bit confusing to say the least. Again, Purple is not tragedy pimping Brandi. She is helping her keep facts straight here on YouTube about Michael's case, because of the constant misinformation that you and others in your camp spread. Purple speaks to Brandi before she puts any information out, and Brandi supports Purple 100%, so please quit spreading lies about that.
To hear this news. I mean, let's talk about this if we're going to talk about this. You know? Let's take away from Michael Monkey Vaughn to deal with all this petty crap from the streets of YouTube, because yet again, they want to lynch Bullhorn Betty. They've been doing this for a year. When are we going to be sick and tired of it? Ass channels that do nothing but incite violence and incite rage from victims' families because they don't like Bullhorn Betty. How many times have these assholes reached out to victims' family when they're in their worst time of need to say, oh my God, you might have a call from Bullhorn Betty and she's going to come out there. Like, what the hell do these families care?
You know when it will stop, Betty. It will stop when you stop. When you stop being a money-hungry tragedy pimp that makes money off of victims and their families. When you quit harassing entire neighborhoods and innocent people. That is exactly when it will stop. Stay home, Betty, and the rest of you clowns too. Just stay home and get a real job that doesn't include exploiting victims.
New stuff. We learn. We grow. We try to do better. We don't use the same things over and over and over again expecting different results like the insane people here on YouTube. We don't use families for content. We tell stories. And we don't use families for content. We tell stories.
That is all you do, Betty. You do use families, and you do exploit victims. That is your entire concept. Just quit lying. By the way, my channel grows every single day, and so do the other channels who call you out for your despicable behavior. There is a community of thousands of people who stand with victims and stand against what you do. The victims' families stand with us, not you. That should tell you a lot right there. Stay home, Betty. Keep your tragedy pimpin' ass in your recliner. These families do not want you there, and they have said so. Please respect their wishes, you grifting, lying tragedy pimp.